Hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Adventures. Video with beach sand driving information on the particular area and some vehicle operation factors, low range, high range, center diff lock, when to put it on, when not to, tire pressures, and your absolute best, cheapest recovery tool to stay out of trouble here on the beach and get out of trouble if you end up in a bit of trouble. Hey everyone, Anthony 4x4 Adventures. I'm out on the beach on my own without any MaxTrax or recovery gear, except for the one most important thing, the cheapest piece of not get bogged or get out of your bogging equipment that you need. And the second most important is probably some sand beach driving experience, which I'll share some of that with you in this video. But I think the point of the story here is to show you the scenery. Bloody awesome. There's a few questions been around about high range, low range, and how to shift it. I'll either try and include that in this video or I will do a separate video for that. Crazy as it sounds, I've come out onto the beach on 25 PSI because I thought I'd come out and see what it's like. Wasn't sure what beach conditions I was going to see when I got out here. Quite often it's really wide and flat. This is not that beach. The tide's on the way out, which is good. We've got about 2 hours to low tide, and we'll just see how it all works out. I could let the tyres down a bit. I could drop down onto the beach, but there's quite a bit of swell and waves down there, as you can see just there on the right. So if I was down there, I'd be constantly diving up the beach, which would be all right as well. But the run along here at the top of the beach, it's actually not too bad. So we'll continue with this at the moment. So you might have noticed I've been ducking and weaving up and down the beach. So when it's a bit flatter, obviously the wide, flat, hard beach is down by the water. The steeper it is, the more the waves will wash up in between those gutters also. So you've got to allow for that. Bada bing, bada boom. Along this sort of beach, you could go high range or low range, whatever you want. I prefer low range, particularly where I got on the beach, because it was quite a short, steep beach and it was soft and fluffy, and I knew I was on 25. So low range is my preference for that sort of stuff, but it seems to be flattening out now, so it doesn't matter if you're at the bottom or the top of the beach. It seems to be pretty well hard packed, but the engine and the transmission is going to do it all pretty easily if you're in low range. You're going to warm up your transmission and your engine coolant temperatures in high range. So at the moment coolant temp's running at 85. Let's stop and put it in high range and see how things go. Transmission temp is on 81, torque converter on 86. Let's do shifting from high range to low range, etc. information. Another quick tip, if you're ever going to stop on the beach, you should not stop like this on the highway. You should park at least on an angle. The normal thing is to reverse up to the embankment, but without hitting it, reverse up to the dunes without hitting it. So when it's safe to do so, if you're going to stop on the beach for a moment to take a photo, you could even stop on an angle like this, so that any oncoming vehicles will be able to see that you're stopped, because you're not pointed straight down the track. This is sufficient, but if you plan on staying longer, then reverse it up all the way like so. But at certain tide times, arguably you could be blocking the road and you don't want to park near the water ideally. Okie dokes, let's do the shifting between high and low range. People have asked how to get it in and out. Let's do the old school mechanical one, and then we'll talk about the push button stuff and how it's exactly the same but slightly different. And we might do it again in another video. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe, turn the bell on both of our YouTube channels, 4x4 Adventures and 4x4 Diesel. All right, so you can see the shifter there. It is normal for that to vibrate. It's connected to the engine. Okay, some people think this is, they talk about high and low and all that. No, it's not low and high. What this is your normal high range. The vehicle is a four-wheel drive, but only while you've got traction to all four tires. I'm not going to explain it too much in this one. This is high locked, so simply slipping that forward locks your center diff lock, the center diff lock of the vehicle, which locks the front to the rear. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, of course, you've got a neutral position and then across to low range, and low range is only locked. So this is where it's different to the 150 Prado, for example. You've got a separate button to go high range, low range, and lock, unlock. So you could be in low range, unlocked. Where in the 120s, the mechanical, if you're on low range, you're locked, which is a good thing. And there's no electronics either. So there they go in the Prado. Look at that. You reckon they're on 4x4 Adventures and Oz Prado crew? Bada bing, bada boomski, on the top of the beach. So there's two ways to do things. Top of the beach, bottom of the beach, right? I've stopped right in the middle because I reckon it's the poxest place to be driving at the moment. You'd either be down there or up here. Okay, so to this one, we're in low range. So quite simply, with the vehicle in neutral, not in park, not moving, not bound up, just gently bang. That'd be like neutral. Keep going like that. It pops across the high locked. So now we've got our center diff lock. So you still have that light on, the center diff lock light there, right? And of course, if you want to unlock it, you just go like that. You can do that while you're driving. You can unlock that while you're driving. If you're driving straight under about 80 Ks, you can just do that while you're driving also. Lock, unlock, straight like that. It's a mechanical feature. No need to ever force anything hard. You might damage or jam something somewhere, right? So it's just simple as that. Lock, unlock. It's just moving a shift selector fork in the transmission, in the transfer case. Simple as that. There goes one on that side. See, I'm right in the middle of the road here. Beautiful. Any more coming? Nothing at the moment. Right, so high locked, over to neutral and into no crunching. If you do it engine cold oil, you might get a bit of crunching. Might pay to switch the engine off, do it in neutral, and then start your engine after you've selected what you want. So for me, we were stopping to put it in high, but we're going to leave it locked. All right, let's see what the temperatures do now. It's all settled down, 79, 77 at the ATF and still 85 on the coolant. We'll go for a drive. All right, so now we're moving down the beach. Now the problem we've got is if we travel at about 40 Ks, which we were before, in high range, we've got more chance of slipping that automatic transmission. So I'm going to bring the speed up. Once again, high range is for higher speed. This is like a concrete highway here. You can really move along here, except we're coming up to the 40 zone. I'm going to tell you about where I'm driving very shortly. Cooloola area, okay? So at the moment, 70 Ks, torque converter's locked. It's going to be even happier, but it's a bit of a change in situation. We've got concrete here. We're on 25 PSI, hard packed sand. Transmission's going to love it. It's sitting on 80. Torque converter's on 80 also because it's locked and we've got airflow. Coolant temp is on 85. But if we were doing this in the softer sand back there, the first few Ks of the beach, again, it's not going to kill anything. It's not the end of the world, but how many times do you want to do that in your vehicle where you've raised that coolant temperature? Because it's a bit like the sun in your skin, cumulative effect over time, right? So, you know, what did it get up to? Did it go beyond 90 on the coolant? Did it go beyond 100, 120 on the transmission? Just things to consider, understand how they work. And the way to understand that is subscribe, turn the bell on both channels, watch the videos, get into the playlists, really get yourself educated on how things work. Right here's a 40 zone, so of course I'm slowing down to 40. There's people, there's dogs, there's all this sort of thing. They're putting the dog on the lead now because there's a few more cars coming behind. But this is the sort of beach I expected, which is why I came on at 25 PSI with a preparation of being able to let them down further. And I considered that. I went, if it stays like this, I'm going to let some more air out. But what I expected, well, I got what I expected in the end. Bada bing, bada boom, we'll keep cruising up the beach. All right, let's talk about the change of direction, because that can be dangerous. Quite often you'll have soft sand, you've got to let your tyres down more, you might be on 15 PSI. And then you're driving along this hard concrete and you see this white water's coming in and you go, oh, I've got to dodge it or something like that. Be careful of that because you're on not only low pressures, the sand's soft, you turn, the tyre digs in, vehicle no longer really wants to go that way. It's kind of getting a bit sideways and the resistance against the tyres and wheels, besides popping tyres off wheels. You'd think the tide was coming in, what I'm seeing, but apparently not. I don't know, I better check the tide again. It said low tide 10:30, it's just before 9 AM. Anyway, hopefully the old Google was right and I read it right, because maybe I was wrong. I'll be certainly checking it again before I go past those rocks near Rainbow Beach. That's your biggest concern of this trip. So be aware of the change of direction, because it's dangerous, and always be keeping your eyes on the beach as a driver for the washouts. Okay, so there's fresh water, generally runouts from the beach, and they vary where they are and how deep they are, all this sort of thing from time to time. So it's always good to go ahead and keep your eye where you're driving. Take a while to stop and smell the roses, and if you notice a vehicle's behind you travelling faster, just hop out of the way for them and stop and enjoy the view. What a beautiful day, huh? Beautiful. No max tracks. Oh my goodness. No snatch trap. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Well, worst case scenario, something that even I couldn't handle. We've got a recovery point. That's not bad. And we've also got a shovel. It's a toilet and a recovery tool, one of your best tools, but that is not the one that you need on a beach. That's the second or third. This $7 item, Stanley brand quality pencil gauge that you pick up in Bunnings in the tool shop for about $7 or $8. Things are going up, I don't know, $7 something last time I got them. I've got about 10 of these through all the cars, and I've got spares. All you need to do is have sand driving experience, which if you haven't got yourself, you can gain from my 4B4 Adventures YouTube channel with all the info from a vehicle technician, vehicle owner that actually uses the vehicles everywhere. This, on a budget, is all you need to get out on the beach in any four-wheel drive and stay out of trouble, or get yourself out of trouble. 25 PSI here. You can see that's working on this sand. All you ever need to do is let the tyres down. Now there's some other techniques that will help you, which we've talked about. I might talk about in this video. You can check the old ones, check the playlist, some sand driving videos or something in the playlist, and I might do it again. So let's continue on with this adventure. Okay, so on the move, 60 k's on the beach, and just unlock it. It's unlocked. The light's gone off. Yep, and you can lock it again. Same with your center diff lock. Not turning, please, people. When you're not turning, keep it straight, but you can use your lever to lock and unlock, or your button if it's one of the later Prados with the electronics. Don't attempt to switch between high and low range when you're moving at all. You need to be stopped and in neutral. And that's how you put it in and out. That's all you do. If you press the button on one of the electronic models, if you like, with the actuator and the push button stuff, you're just going to get lots of lights flashing. I don't know if you're going to get crunching. I haven't tried it myself, but it's not going to work. And same when you go to unlock the center diff lock. If you've been turning and you've bound it up, that's why it's having trouble releasing. You probably just need to keep driving. You can go back and forward a bit, turn a bit, but it's going to be bound up. It's going to be a little bit difficult to get it released, which is what I do, is before I hit the sealed road, I just go like that and I'm unlocked. Or I'll stop and switch from low range locked in this vehicle back to high range, bada bing bada boom, right? So simple as that. This is the beach I expected, and this is the beach you see most of the way along. It's wide, it's hard, and it's flat like a highway. But see the edge of that water there? Don't take your eye off it. And I recommend you never drive in it. I would never drive in that sort of water. If it happened, it would be by accident, and I'd be looking for fresh water ASAP to rinse it out. Stay away from the salt water is my advice if you have any respect for your vehicle. And careful who you watch on YouTube. because some people show you driving in salt water is the way to wash the mud out, which is ridiculous. Might have just missed that car there. But yeah, he drove through. Even that shallow, wet bit of beach, sometimes you have to. It's not as bad as water, but just avoid it. See where I'm driving? It's just above that wet line. I don't want to drive in that wet sand there. No. Alright, here's a really good example I want to talk to you about. Right? Now, this is low tide soon. Hour and a half. There's quite a gutter here where the water's pushing right up. That's why there's smooth sand in front of me. I can drive through here at the moment, just watching the beach. No dramas, it's dry at the moment. But did you see that embankment off the left? You don't really want to be hitting that. They can be smaller than that. They can be bigger than that. Really sharp edge. So look at it if you're driving this way. I mean, if you're not concentrating on what's going on, this is something you could come across, right? You think you're cool, you're cruising along, you can't really see much at the moment, can you? Right, and I'm about to come off an embankment that's 2 foot high, right here in front of me. I'm not even going to do it. Let's go around and have another look at it from another angle. Probably outside the vehicle, right? That's where I was, that side of it. That is waist height, people. You couldn't see it from the other side. There's nothing on the other side, right? That's up to my hip pocket. That's about 800, right? Compare it with the height of the vehicle if you like. Hard to see. What a day out here. And I've got nothing better to do but help you guys with understanding to try and keep you out of trouble. So when the tide's up, you're up here. Does that give you a bit of a picture? It's just the height of a wheel or a tyre. A little bit bigger at the front. Look, we've got some waves coming. I'll have to run and get the car out of there. No, we're okay. I did run, but I was ready for action. And yeah, like I said, you can drive. That's where the water's coming to. Tide is receding. So careful doing crazy stuff like this. Embankment. In case anyone wanted to know, on this Kallula or Tiwa beach area, the driving permit, if you want to drive between Noosa Heads and Rainbow Beach up to Inskip Point, that sort of area, and don't get me wrong, there's a few places you can get onto the beach without spending money, but if you want to do this, you come across the ferry at Tewantin there. And I remember coming over that ferry when it was $2, $2, $4, $6, $8. We're up to, what I just pay? $16 to come across the river. So that's eightfold. First time I came across there, I reckon I would have been about 20 years old in a hired full drive. Did it a couple of times in a Suzuki Sierra, maybe GQ Patrol. Many years ago, what's that, about 30 years ago, there you go, bada bing, bada boom, baby. And the beach permit for the day, $14.90 to drive along here, and then obviously extra for your camping. I think it's about $7 or something. I don't know if it's per person, car or whatever, but the info I have, I share with you. So once again, be careful going across these. Make sure there's a back to them before you just go flying over. Otherwise, there is people that have come to a lot of grief, personal injury and vehicle damage. It gets expensive and painful if you don't keep your eyes on the beach. So take your time to get to know beaches, and just when you think you know it all, you've still got a lot to learn, and that's me. Not to be confused with fresh water running off the land through the sand underneath. That's generally not salt water. Don't worry about that too much. That's what will you be looking for if you drive on that salt water over there. Any sort of freshwater run outs to give it a rinse. Sorry about the wind. We're just down here, camp area 5's up that way, and I just wanted to point out for everybody that, you know, got told how, you know, it's all easy and there's no, you're not going to have any problems, and just go for it down that beach. It's kind of right. Look at that beautiful 120. We're going to wrap this one up soon. There'll be another video. I like to keep them a bit shorter. And what I want to point out just before we wrap it up is, here, like I said, it's coming close to low tide, so the water's pulling out. You've got to take into account ocean swell, waves, that's wind. There's a bit of breeze out here today, making waves. And of course, what storms have eroded beaches. Now, at the moment, this is a really good flat beach, but what I want to point out, the high tide line, okay? So all the high and low tides, they all vary a bit. That's something else to look at, the actual height of the tide. You can have high tides that are a bit lower, they're not too bad, and you'll be okay to drive up the top of the beach here at high tide. But then you'll have low tides that are higher, and of course the high tide, you can see the debris on the edge of the grass just there. And of course, just here, you've got no sand left, so you'd have to be driving, if you chose this high tide, you'd have to drive somewhere up there where there's no camping or driving on the vegetation. There's clearly a sign there. So it's 100% accurate in this area that you can't drive on this beach at high tide. I did check the tide. I do believe it's right. I haven't checked it again yet. 10:30 low tide at Rainbow Beach, if I got it right. And we'll find out. See the debris, they're right up to here. The water's pushing to there and up. Bloody bottles and people in their rubbish. Take your rubbish with you, you grots. I mean, right, you can just see where it goes. So beautiful beach, beautiful car, beautiful day, plenty of sea spray. Subscribe, turn the bell on, and we'll catch you in the next one.